everybody. Welcome to this talk. My name is Rizwana Akmal, or Riz for short, and I tweet endlessly at Riz Biscuits. So if you have any questions or if you want to hang out later, then please feel free to reach out to me. It feels really remarkable to be standing on this stage, so I wanted to take a moment to say that. I'm here to talk about why I believe good writers become better developers. Why is this topic important to me? Well, besides being a developer in my day job, I'm also a poet, so not by occupation, but by nature. My high school English teacher changed my life when she forced us to write a poem when I was 15 years old. And I know what you're thinking now. Poetry is all about finding rhyming words, and I can confirm that no one's found one yet for the word orange. But more importantly, poetry to me is about connecting words and the simple activity of paying attention. Paying attention to the way light illuminates moving dust particles in a speedy train, or the way two pigeons with so much swag walked down the road. Now, this is not my footage, but that was a true story. With only one brain at my disposal, you can see how it's so difficult to separate the way I think as a poet to the way I think as a developer in my day-to-day job. And thus, allow me to tell you a story. Meet Augusta. Augusta is from London. She's raised by her single mother. Her father's alive, but he's famous for some scandals, so Augusta's mom keeps her away from him. Unfortunately, he is also a poet. And in trying to keep Augusta uninfluenced from his interests, her mom keeps her in the world of mathematics and sciences. Now, ironically, this separation is the very reason, and I quote, her understanding of mathematics is laced with imagination and described in metaphors. If you can't give me poetry, can't you give me poetical science? Asks Augusta angstily to her mother on an occasion. She's now 18 years old and she's at a dinner party. She hears a very famous inventor talk about one of his inventions. The guests are just paying attention to what's on the dessert menu. But not Augusta. Our girl is touched by the universality of his ideas. She notices, she pays attention. Some years past, Augusta is now a mother of 3. She's asked by the same inventor to add notes to his article about some exciting invention. And Augusta comes back naturally with thrice the length of her notes, being thrice as long as his article. She predicts this machine to be able to compose complex music, to produce graphics, and to be used both in scientific and other various practical use cases. That was a mouthful. Augusta, more widely known to us as Ada Lovelace, is regarded as the first computer programmer in the world by many. And our famous inventor, he was Charles Babbage. Could Augusta's relationship to poetry have played an important part in her possessing the insight to see the things the way they are? A published author says it is not a trivial trait for either a poet or a scientist to get to the heart of the matter simply, succinctly, and successfully. These may be just the skills we need today. Some 200 years later, how do we foster these skills in our workplaces, in ourselves? How do we become computer and more aptly poetical scientists? Step 1, be intentional. It's important that we remember that thinking is work. It's a bit of a cliche, but consider the tortoise. For leaders in this room, schedule time for your devs to dig deeper, to question, to understand exactly what is it that they're trying to solve and why. Often, moments of pause are moments of clarity. What happens when we're not intentional is we start equalizing disruption to innovation. Elizabeth Holmes is a founder of a failed unicorn Silicon Valley startup, Theranos, is a great reminder. Holmes has been charged for criminal fraud. There's a podcast, documentary, and most recently a TV show based on her life, which I would recommend that it goes into more details. TLDR, the objective is not disruption, and it sure isn't equal to innovation. Intentionality is a prevention measure. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Let's be sure of what we're developing. Step 2, identify detours. What I mean by detours is when you have an outline of an idea of where you're heading, but before you can pursue it, you're kind of swept aside to something else. There's nothing wrong with trial and error and not letting the fear of the blank page get to you and just kind of pouring your heart out. But the original outline of an idea is worth holding on to sometimes. You are in a hollow mirrors, the reflections will distract you. During writing, one mechanism that I use every 10 or 15 minutes is asking myself whether what I'm saying is what I'm thinking or whether I'm just shifting my thought process to what I've written. And if it's the latter, then it's usually a detour, and I can go back to what I was thinking and trying to say that more perfectly. You have to consider who is in the driving seat. Now, I know you're kind of just looking at me, so I want some audience interaction. Can you please raise your hand if you've ever felt burnout ever in your career? Thank you. I believe a primarily detour-driven development leads to context switching, which then leads to burnout. And these are the symptoms of burnout. I wish I had the time to read them off the list, but I'd like you to just look at them for a minute. In this situation, the "we care about your well-being at work" Twitter posts, that HR posts are, sufficient. Step 3, we can read out loud. And this is my favorite one. Reading out is a practice in revelation. You are engaged to the content not as an author, but as a consumer. Amanda Gorman is a great reminder. She was invited to the most recent US presidential inauguration, where she read out her poem. This is why spoken poetry is so powerful. Because when Amanda read her poem, there were people who had no idea about what poetry even meant, who were recognizing it and noticing it. And you're wondering, like, okay, that's cool, Amanda, go girl. But how are we going to do that in our projects, right? Which are kind of spread in different files and geographies and teams and politics. How can we achieve a similar result? Please listen to Young Thug. Young Thug is the guy with the glasses. Hire junior developers into your teams and create an environment where they can ask questions and where paid programming is open to them. And while you do that, side note, please consider the modern day masterpiece for reference when assessing what you need to do in this regard. If your teams can recreate the white guy selfie meme challenge, then you definitely need to try harder. And step 4, I like to be real for a minute. Be vulnerable. In this fast-paced tech industry, quotes, are we ever wholehearted? Or is this all just a show? Now more than ever, we must be vulnerable. Now, this is different to vulnerability in tech, which is typically a potential security risk. On the contrary, what I mean by vulnerability in this instance is how researcher Dr. Brown describes it: the core of all emotions and feelings, the birthplace of love, belonging, joy, courage, empathy, accountability, and authenticity. Because no matter the team's size or experience, vulnerability precedes trust. It's how you establish trust in a team. As writers, as developers, heck, even as people, our mindsets are made richer when we practice the trait of vulnerability. Do try this at home. And thus, these are the points that linger on my mind anytime I sit down to write or to program. Be intentional, identify detours, read aloud, and be vulnerable. I kind of thought really hard about how I wanted to end this presentation. And I kind of thought back to the moment my high school English teacher instructed us to write a poem. I very angstily eye-rolled back to her, and she knowingly returned a smile. So echoing her words, I'd like to end by saying, if you have the words, there's always a chance that you'll find a way. Thank you for listening. This was a RizConf talk. Please share any questions or thoughts you may have. It's been a wonderful experience. Thank you.